Next, we have a panel discussion why how to build ZK apps, zero knowledge technology, unlock power, privacy, and scalability. And in this session, our speaker will share about the reason why the approaches to building the ZK Power application. Tiếp theo chúng ta sẽ đến với phiên thảo luận why and how to build ZK app và công nghệ Zero Knowledge sẽ mở ra khả năng bảo mật và mở rộng khả năng vượt trội của mình trong cái phiên này. Thì các diễn giả sẽ chia sẻ lý do và cũng như cách tiếp cận để xây dựng ứng dụng ZK. Thì xin trân trọng giới thiệu mời các diễn giả là ông Arman Aurobindo, lead của DevRep, với ông Ronni Christiansen, founder của AnswerIt.io và điều phối sẽ là ông George Rowdy, CTO của FOMO. Please welcome our panelists, Arman Aurobindo, lead DevRep ZK Verify, and Ronni Christiansen, founder AnswerIt.io, and moderator George Rowdy, CTO FOMO.
All right, hello Vietnam. Welcome to this very exciting panel on one of the on-chain frontiers, zero-knowledge applications. I'm Yas, founder and CTO of Formo, the data platform for on-chain apps. We make analytics simple for on-chain teams. I'm joined today by a group of stellar builders. We have Ronni and Arman. Let me briefly introduce them. Arman is the lead dev rel at ZK Verify, where he helps developers integrate high-performance ZK proofs into scalable apps. We have also joining us is Ronni, founder of AzerX, a company focused on privacy-first solutions and open-source identity, leveraging ZK in the stack. In this panel, we'll learn what a ZK app is, why now is the right time to build them, and how you can get started. Would you like to share a few words to introduce yourself before we start? Let's start with Ronni.
Well, I've been working with zero knowledge proofs the last 3 years, and our focus is privacy and compliance. So I recently wrote an article about the hidden layer of surveillance on the internet, and right now we're seeing across the world requirements for using ID verification. So if you want to access websites in Europe or around the world, then you have to do ID verification. So for me, tying zero knowledge proofs, decentralized consent and data ownership into the real world and into problem solving in the real world is really important. So I spend a lot of time nerding on that, and in the blockchain industry, the way we use zero knowledge proof comes, a little from a different angle because we work so much focused on privacy compliance, and I've created what I call the decentralized seamless business model, where we prevent companies from accessing the data at all, and that mitigates the legal risk. So that's the short intro. I've been 32 years in the industry, 25 years in open source, so I'm an old open source OG builder, now in Web3.
Sure. So I'm Arman, and I've been building ZK applications for, I guess, more than 3 years now. And it all started when I was working for some interop between blockchains, and there was this issue of like how to make all those things private, and the first answer was zero knowledge. So that was my intro to zero knowledge. But lately, I've been working with many of the technical things coming to zero knowledge, made ZK VMs, DSLs. I've been doing a lot of open source contributions. But that's mostly of the stuff. But I've been building a lot of ZK applications on privacy, scaling, compliance, KYC, everything.
All right, great. What is a ZK app? ZK app is just zero knowledge proofs to prove that something is true without revealing the underlying data. So with this, you can prove that you are above a certain age without revealing your personal information. Over the past few years, zero knowledge proofs have moved from research papers and academic labs to the real world, where it's today powering roll-ups, privacy solutions, and proving entire programs. But as the infrastructure is rapidly developing, a key question remains: where are the apps? And what can we build with this new technology? And how do we get started? So with that, I'd like to kick us off with our first question. Let's start with Ronni. Why now? Why do you believe now is the right time to build ZK apps?
Well, from our perspective, working with privacy and compliance, if you look in Europe, you look at GDPR, the e-privacy directive. You look in the UK, you look at the UK GDPR, PECR. You look in Vietnam, you look at the data law. You look at the personal data protection law. The new one is coming January 1st next year. If you look around the world in general, it's quite clear that you have cross-border data regulations. You have a prohibition of transferring personal data as a third party to other jurisdictions legally. So if we want to allow compliance to be realized, if we want to make sure that businesses can operate, and we want to make sure that people own their own data, that they have the right of control of their own data, then zero knowledge proof is the only way to do it. It's that simple. So, I've been in the industry for 32 years in the open web. I created the first CMS and e-commerce system in Northern Europe, perhaps. So I've done a lot of things, but what happens in the World Wide Web is that we continuously evolve the user experience. We add new technologies. And for me, blockchain technologies is the next step. So in Web 2, when we started doing APIs, we started working smarter instead of repeating everything we're doing. Now in Web 3, we're getting decentralized technologies. We're getting external public networks where we can do audit trials and everything. But if we want to protect the privacy of everyone, and if we want to be able to live up to cross-border compliance laws, data protection regulations, etc., then zero knowledge proofs are essential. And the good part is that when I don't have your data because I wrote myself out of the data model, and I'm using zero knowledge proofs as an intermediary technology into the website owners, then it actually works out. So everyone is happy, there's no losers, and everything is compliant and done by law. So where are the apps? Well, our first-party consent management platform can be one-click installed in WordPress. That's 43% of the World Wide Web. And then if you go over and enable age and country verification, it's already working. So we're adding in all the wallets, we're adding in all the blockchains, that adding in ID solutions and zero knowledge proof, and we're slowly expanding to make sure that no matter where you are, what you're doing, you can get into a privacy and compliant based world where you're the owner of your own data, and where the business owners does not become, a legal liability because they become a data processor, a data controller. So if you're looking at doing global business, and connecting companies or customers with companies or transferring data or the knowledge of verification of data without actually doing it, then it's now, and we need to use zero knowledge proof. And as a final example, I can mention something like a criminal background check. Let's take Europe and Vietnam. In Vietnam, it's illegal for a third-party processor to process your data and do a criminal background check and send it to Europe. In Europe, it's the same thing. So Europe and Vietnam has exactly the same legal foundations. So right now, no companies can legally perform criminal background checks because they're not allowed to process your data and transfer them outside of the country. But what if you process the data locally, and then you use zero knowledge proof to verify to a company in Europe that, yes, that's correct? The person actually passes the criminal background check, and it's the zero knowledge proof that is confirming it through verification, but without transferring all the papers and all the data, because a third party is not allowed to do that. Then you can make a compliant business model where you can live up to the requirements.
I'll take more of a developer standpoint and why it's the right time to build ZK apps right now. So I guess everyone have heard of Tornado Cash. It was one of the early frontiers of ZK on blockchain. It got extremely famous, but after that, if you see bringing on zero knowledge, we haven't seen a lot of applications coming in. It's mostly used by the rollups for scalabilities, and they don't even provide any kind of privacy feature to it. And I guess there has been a lot of adoption. We have been building a lot of ZK backends and all those things for the last more than 6 years to say. And now I guess it's the right time to just jump in the train because the adoption is coming in. We have seen Web2 firms making patents on ZK. We have companies like Google trying to use ZK on their authentication systems. And right now, I have one of the examples. We currently are having a hacker house in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh. And the best thing that I got in reference is nowadays people are not building ZK circuits anymore. It's already pre-built. It's already audited, and developers have been building it for more than 5 years now. And if you're trying to build any kind of ZK applications, it's kind of very easy for you. It's just kind of like a plug-and-play application. You have, so based on what you want to build, may it be compliance, may it be some DeFi stuff, ID or anything, you just have a lot of different tools you have to choose in and how you're going to plug it all together. So I guess now it's the best time to jump in the train and build privacy for the future.
Yeah. Yeah. So privacy, is becoming increasingly important, and the tools are ready. What apps or use cases are you most excited about? Let's start with Arman.
Yeah, so I have been in the ZK space for more than 3 years, and like the best thing, like the people have been building a lot of things into DeFi, as I told Tornado Cash with the first one, but out of DeFi, like with the increase in popularity of AI and ML models, we have been seeing a huge interest in ZKML. So it's basically taking an ML model and trying to make the inference private and all those things. So I guess like as we move in, we have more Web3 agents coming in, which are like AI powered and all, which can do transactions on your behalf, which can do a lot of financial activities or Web3 activities on your behalf. It becomes like a very important feature for have privacy into that because we don't want the user's data to leak in. And so ZKML is one of the space that I'm really interested in. We have a lot of research going on. Apart from that, like we have seen a lot of people building like things like ZK passport, self protocol. These are like ZK ID kind of things. And then there has been a Polygon ID who just has been there for a long time now. So basically, ID systems have been there, but I guess now it's a great time to have adoption over there. Nowadays, I've seen people building a lot of applications for like geolocation based proving where they can give token airdrops and all those things. So I guess in the future, I would like to have projects coming up on DeFi, ZKML, ID, and all of those.
Yeah, I would say right now my focus is very much on verified ID. Also, we launched the world's first decentralized consent and data ownership model 2.5 years ago. And the past months, we've really been ramping up the efforts in terms of verified ID. I can tell you that 3 weeks ago, Google launched ID verification in Google Wallet and added zero-knowledge proofs. So, and Apple is doing the same. You have a whole new API, ID credentials coming into web browsers as well. You have ID wallets. Every single country in Europe is getting their own ID wallet. You have mobile driver's license wallets in the US. And Google and Apple are integrating to those so that you can carry your ID inside your Apple or Google wallet as well. So that means that we have all the biggest players on the planet. We have all the national states on the planet moving on this. Here in Vietnam, it's the VNE ID as well, which everyone needs to have. Also, if you're a foreign business owner, as I am here, I need to have level 2. Sadly, I'm a DT4 investor, so I can't get a TRC, and so I can't get a VNE ID, but it's coming, it's still new. But with verified ID, which is really what I care about now, we're able to prove age and country verification in a very seamless and simple way. So yesterday, we just put in the last pull request for adding in the Google Wallet support also in our CMP. So in our demo site for our first-party consent management platform, if you're in WordPress and you want to do age or country verification, you literally go into the back end in WordPress, then you checkbox age and country verification. You set the age you want, 18 or 21 or whatnot, and you can set the countries, and you click save. That's it. So zero-knowledge proof is now becoming real-world applicable, meaning that when website owners, developers, and business owners can just click a button and checkbox it, and then it's working. There's no SDKs, there's no complexity, and all the consumers can take any of the major wallets they're using, even national state-based ID systems, and they can one-click, and then we finalize the change so it becomes reality. And that's why I think verified ID is very interesting. But there's also differences in verified ID because you need accountability. So if governments accept that we use zero-knowledge proof to verify something is real, and we allow people to come in, it could be on social media, it could be on specific websites, it could be access to a website selling alcohol, then we also need accountability. So we need to be able to, under the right jurisdictional, the right legal process in the country you're in, if you have a court order, then you need to be able to untie the loop as well and lead it back to the original ID credential used. So with someone is abusing systems or is doing fraud or scams, etc., then there's also the opportunity for accountability. And sometimes we forget that when we talk about ID verification, zero knowledge proofs, but it's really essential, because the reason why governments around the world is accepting zero knowledge proof as a valid solution is because there is also the room for accountability, but without the phone home problems we are seeing right now in ID wallets, in mobile driver's license wallets, where they could issue credential issuer can actually trace who's using it and when it's used. So that's where we need to do something a little smarter, so we protect the privacy of the individual, but we add in the accountability to really make it full circle.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like privacy in DeFi, identity verification, these are real, apps and use cases that are going to be more and more popular. And I think we're going to see, more and more adoption of these over time. But having said that, I'm sure you'll all agree with me that ZK technology is still in the early stages, both in the technology and also the adoption. What do you think it will take for ZK technology and apps to see even wider adoption and go to the next level? Ronni?
Well, I think if we start with the political level, I'm talking a bit with the Danish Minister of Digital Government, and I'm talking to some of the politicians, the members of parliament in the Danish parliament. Because right now, or rather last week, the Danish government announced that they're going to be part of a new ID verification app in Europe that's supposed to be used so children does not get access to adult websites, alcohol websites, etc., gambling websites for that matter. So Denmark is one of the beta testing countries in the European Union who's going to implement that. And then, the minister said, well, we're going to make sure that no one can see it's you, meaning they're going to use zero knowledge proofs. But on the same time, the political level in Europe don't really understand that the ID credentials can still be traced. And if you have a third-party issue of the ID credential or verifier, they can still trace where you're using it. So one of the things we need is a political awareness that we have to finalize the technology. We have to make contextual keys that is possible to use in individual cases, but leading back to the overall zero knowledge proof without leaking metadata. So there is some finalization of technology we need to do. There is some matureness and awareness in terms of how it is actually implemented. Because it's easy enough to understand zero knowledge proof, yeah, you can prove that it's real without sharing the data. Is Ronni over 18 years old? Yes, Ronni is over 18 years old. Fine, let him into the alcohol side. That's simple. But is Google tracing every time you're using Google Wallet with zero knowledge proof? Is Google then recording that you're going to this website and that you're using your ID credentials and which ID credentials it is? Because then I don't want to be using Google Wallet, right? So we have to make sure it's not centralized actors that are monitoring all of our behavior, and we have to make sure that the politicians at political level understand that also, and that there is a need to refine the last parts of it before it's really perfect. But it is technology that can be made finished, that can really change this world and protect all of our privacy.
Yeah. Coming to that point, I 100% agree to what you guys said. On the political level, we need to make them understand how it works, and we need to work with them. As we go for adoption, we cannot just go alone. We need all of them. Some kind of use cases, like there are smaller countries like Bhutan in Asia, like they have been using ZK for the past 2 years now. So all the ID cards in Bhutan are basically now ZK IDs. It's been 2 years, and we've been scaling a lot around that. We have something similar in India, which is called as Anon Aadhaar. So Aadhaar is an ID system based in India. So PSC team just made a kind of wrapper around it to apply like anonymous text to it. As you told, like more than 18 years of old, what's your state in the whole country and all of those. And I'll say, like, coming to a tech side of things, why it's important right now, or what things we need to do for adoption is basically build simple applications to make people understand what ZK is. And I guess the best example right now is ZK P2P. So when it comes to Web3, the biggest thing, at least for the naive users, is payments. And to make them understand what is ZK, I guess the best application is ZK P2P. It makes anonymous transfers, like you can have on-ramps anonymously, and it's but it compliance as well. It uses your ZK IDs to handle a lot of stuff for you. So like I think that we are moving in a good way. And on the tech side of things, as I told previously, we have made a huge kind of efforts in the last 6 years. And right now we're in a point where we can go for the early adoption. We can have a lot of users coming in. And as more and more countries try to agree what ZK provides them and like what normally all the pets using everything FHE MPC do, I guess there will be a huge adoption coming in the later years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I totally agree. Like real world apps like ZK P2P is one of my favorite ZK apps. I think they make on-ramps really easy and sort of expose the magic of ZK to more people. And I think that helps to build awareness both on the political level, but also I think on a societal level for people to understand the magic of ZK. What are the biggest pain points in building ZK apps? We've talked about adoption and apps and use cases. Then there's the other side of it, which is building the apps in the first place. What would you say are the biggest pain points in building ZK apps today, Ronni?
I think I'm going to leave some of the more technical aspects to you on that, and then I'll go a little more generic. I've been in the open source community for the open web in 25 years. I served on Open Source Matters Inc., the board of directors behind Joomla. And I spent years also working with an MIT professor on why people contribute to open source. And I also analyzed all the biggest CMSs and the developer communities. So one of the things we find, which is also a limitation in the Web3 space today, is that you might release an SDK, but most of the agencies that are delivering web solutions in the world, they don't use SDKs. So there's a huge gap from releasing an SDK and having a small core of skilled developers implementing technology and to the mass market. For things to become mass market, you're gonna need WordPress plugins, Joomla plugins, one-click installables. Don't make me think. There was a very famous book that was written by a guy about front-ending many years ago, but Don't Make Me Think is essential because the vast majority of the tech industry does not go that deep. They don't use SDKs like that, right? So we have to ensure that the technology becomes more accessible, more simple to work with, so that more people can do it. Because if 90% of the people who are building the World Wide Web, and the World Wide Web is all the interactions, we have all the user experiences, if they are not capable of using the technology we expose to them, it will never happen. So I think I will take that as my primary answer, and then I will let you dig a little deeper in the tech side.
Sure. So on the tech side of thing, so when we started early with Tornado Cash and all, like it was all on the kind of hobby projects where we had DSS, like specific language just to build ZK applications. So I guess you've heard of Circom, Noir, all those things, right? So at that time, like building a circuit is itself a huge thing. And then deploying it to an app is almost like running a whole new company from the scratch. So now I guess we have moved a lot way ahead. So now we have the ZK VMs, which allows you to basically run Rust code. So, and like they have the pipelines where you can use any language to say. So on the developer standpoint, you can use JavaScript, Python, or any language as such. You can compile it to Wasm and run it inside a ZK VM. So I guess we have went a lot way ahead. And one more thing for developers is when it comes to building applications, they need to acquire users. And the issue with ZK VMs is still like the proving time. For normal, as a standard, it takes like 1 to 2 minutes to generate a ZK proof. And on a user standpoint, it's very bad. So people are still using DSLs to do like client-side proving, which is like kind of fast right now. You can generate a proof within 5 to 10 seconds for some applications. So I guess the long way ahead is we have already made it a kind of lot developer-centric right now. And on the future way, we should work on the proving sides of things, yeah.
Yeah, can I just jump in here also? Because I think finalization is hugely important. So the layer 1 we use for zero-knowledge proof has a 2-second finalization. That's why we're using them. Because it means in the real-time user experience, when a user interacts with a website, within 2 seconds, we can do the full proof and we can allow them to go to the website. Needless to say, if they have to wait 1 to 2 minutes, they're not gonna wait, they're gonna leave. You have critical exit after 2.2 seconds, right? So we gotta get it further down. 1.4 seconds should be the absolute minimum if it's real world applicable, but it needs to get even faster than that. So we need to work on finalization time on zero-knowledge proof. It's essential, it's really a huge, huge factor.
Yeah, I can echo a lot with what the panelists have said. First is about making things more accessible. I think over time, yeah, in the early days, it was really hard to write circuits with Circom, very low level. You need to be to have a PhD or have read many papers to even get started. But now you have libraries and tools that abstract all that away so that it's a lot more accessible for builders to use and build apps on. And the other thing was performance, like proving performance. Still needs work, again, for real-time use cases, and hopefully that gets better over time. All right, and the final question for this panel today is, how should the audience get started with ZK, either as a user of ZK apps or as a builder? Arman, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So to give an intro on how you should get started is, just first try to experience what ZK is, what is a part of ZK. So you can try to use any ZK applications out there. So you can use ZK P2P, or there are a lot of applications, and on chat and all. We are also building a lot of interesting games at ZK Verify. So like you can try to play it and to understand what is the actual proving things that are going on. And then if you are very interested or you want to do something, you want to build something, I guess the best way for now to do is, you have a lot of LLMs, you have ChatGPT, Gemini, all of those. Just go them and ask, write me a Rust code to run inside a ZK VM. And right now the documentation are very strong for ZK VMs. You can just spin up a ZK VM application within 10 minutes to say. So I guess that would be the best way to start around. This was experience in, and then try to build it around.
Yeah, I think I'll go a tier up then, and then I will say, when you're building, then think that today data minimization and privacy and compliance requirements are high in every country in the world pretty much. So if you can find ways to use zero-knowledge proof so that you don't get the data, you don't store the data, you don't become a data processor, data controller, then that's a pretty good place to start. I mean, that's what zero-knowledge proofs are based at, at the foundational level. So if they can help you mitigate risk, legal risk in your company by implementing it organically into the applications you're building to ensure that you don't get the data, then you're really helping yourself, because that means you can scale globally much easier. You don't have to live up to 87 different privacy and compliance laws and data protection laws, cross-border data laws. So help yourself by implementing it where it makes the most sense from a start in your own applications. And that's a good place, because that mindset will quickly get you going. And from there, then you can move on to the rest. But else, it's getting a lot easier now. So I think that's a very good start. And I have a hunch in the next couple of years, we will start to see even friendlier ways of working with zero-knowledge proof than we have in the past. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Arman and Ronni, for sharing your insights. And thank you all for listening and joining us in this panel. ZK is here today. The tools and infrastructure and the community is ready for you to use and build on. It's time to build. Thank you.
Dạ rồi, xin cảm ơn các diễn giả và điều phối viên của phim vừa rồi cùng với những chia sẻ rất là giá trị. Thank you to speaker and moderator of the previous panel for such insightful sharing.